All right, hello and welcome back to the Life in Our 20s podcast. I am currently recording this episode a day after the last episode, the one where I talk about the upgrades to the podcast and some of my side projects going on behind the scenes. I had to take a little bit of a break due to some issues that I had. Health wise, I'm still trying to rest and, you know, try to get my lungs back to 100%. So I decided to take a little bit of a break. I wouldn't be able to record the podcast otherwise. Anyway, for this episode, I wanted to talk about recent experience, I guess. I wanted to do this episode a lot sooner, but I was busy with some stuff and um, readjusting to my schedule. I'll get into all the details right now, but I wanted to talk about my 4th of July experience because it was the first time that I do anything for 4th of July. Not, not with my parents exactly. So usually 4th of July is like a little holiday where we all just hang out as a family and just, eat some good food and just talk, to be honest. And this year, my parents had decided to take a trip to Mexico, and I usually go with them, but I did not get my passport. I said that I would rather stay and, work because, I'm pretty much dead broke. And so they were going to leave for 2 weeks, and I thought, man, it'd be nice to do something before they leave. And I asked them, what day are you guys leaving? They were leaving the 4th of July. So around 8 p.m., they said that they would leave. And their plane would leave like at midnight or something. But they were flying out of Mexico. So they would cross the border through, they would drive there, cross the border, get to the airport, and then fly down to whatever location they were going to go to first. I don't know which one, where they went to first. But anyway, usually it's like a family event. And this year was the first year that I actually, set something up with friends and decided, maybe we should do something, as like a group of friends and, just kind of chill out, hang out, and, get used to the idea that in the future, this is probably with what holidays are going to be. Um, you know, a mixture of having your friends over or having your family over. And I thought it was a pretty cool time. It was pretty chill. And I'm not saying that my family wasn't there at all that day, because they definitely helped make the food and everything. They probably did most of the work while I was, running errands, going to the store, buying whatever we needed that was left. And they were also, doing any last minute checks to their luggage and stuff before they would leave. And I just wanted to share that, that experience that I had for 4th of July. Um, I don't know if any of my friends are listening to this right now, but, thank you for coming over. I really needed that. I probably went, let's say, like 2 days, 3 days with like a sore throat. I like lost my voice. I talked so much that day. And, um, it was pretty chill. We had a little bit of a scare. I remember we were just kind of talking and chilling out, like, and just catching up because we were catching up because there were a couple of friends that I hadn't seen in years, and I mean like probably since high school, and that's like 4 years ago already, So that's a pretty long time to go without seeing them or even talking to them because at one point I nuked my Instagram, is I usually put it that way, but I deleted my Instagram. I think I've done that twice. I got rid of my Snapchat. I'm never going back to Snapchat. I think that is a useless app, but I got rid of my Instagram account and just kind of started from scratch. Created a new one and only gave it to some of my closest friends, and I made sure to try to keep it like, on the down low, I guess you would say, and not share it with people that often because I didn't want certain people to find out what my Instagram was because there's a lot of drama that I was going through at one point and I didn't want them to, get a hold of that. We're past that though. So, um I have been thinking about like opening it up again and like friend requesting people that I used to talk to and stuff and maybe catch up and like maybe hang out if they're open to it. But it was mostly just for like mental health and just so that I wouldn't have to deal with a lot of drama. I hate drama so much and like being right in the middle of it, it's like, it's awful, especially um when you really don't have anything to do with what's going on and they're like making you pick sides and stuff. It's just better to like step away. But anyway, I hadn't talked to these people in a long time. No text, no call. Hadn't hung out with them at all, and they were busy doing stuff like they were they had their own issues and stuff to go through. But it was really fun to hang out, catch up, and just kind of like, reminisce on the past a little bit, but also just talk about what our current situations are and like, kind of share what our ambitions are or like what we're currently doing to get to where we want to be, or kind of bonding over the fact that like world is pretty fucked right now. But it was pretty fun. Like, we ate food, we talked, we had some music playing in the background, talked a lot of shit, joked a lot. It was pretty fun. And uh, it didn't go exactly to plan because I had thought, like, oh, this is going to be like pretty cool. I'm going to, like, we could sit in the backyard and I'll hang like a drop cloth or something up on the wall. We'll have a projector and we'll watch movies and stuff and like, talk and catch up. Like, I was thinking of watching some comedy movies and stuff. Stuff that I find very funny, and then just anything that they would want to watch as well. Like, open to recommendations and stuff. But we couldn't find the projector. My friend was going to supply that, but he said he couldn't find it. So I just said, you know what? We'll leave that for another day. Maybe like, in the future, maybe we could do some for like, I don't know, like Halloween and do like a horror movie night or something. But it just didn't work out, But aside from that, everything else went pretty okay. I know some of my friends might have complained a little bit because they thought there were going to be more drinks there, and everybody was like, oh, like, should I bring a case of beer? Should I not bring a case of beer? I don't want there to be too much left over. And especially since, like, for example, when my graduation happened and I graduated from college, a lot of the leftover booze and stuff, my parents drank all of that, like, over time. Uh, and if there was a lot left over, and I don't know if they would want to take it back with them or if they could. it would get left here and it would just go to waste because I wouldn't drink it. I don't drink at all. Um, I could invite, I could have like invited friends over maybe and they could have, finished it or whatever, but whatever, But anyway, that brings me to um kind of this thing that I wanted to talk about. And I know that person's probably going to listen to this podcast, and I don't want them to feel bad, but that person scared the absolute crap out of me that day. So, a little bit of a story time. So, this happened pretty early on in the night, or like in the day. It was probably not even, it was probably evening time already. It was like maybe like 4 or 5 when this happened. I can't remember. But what happened was I was talking to a couple of my friends, and there was like maybe like I don't think anybody really brought beer. I think it was all maybe like Smirnoffs and like what is that thing called, twisted tea or whatever. So no beers, but mostly just Smirnoffs, twisted tea. And I didn't know this, but apparently one of my friends brought bottles of liquor. I don't know what type. Don't know if it was like whiskey or tequila or whatever. But I was talking to my friends, and we're just having a good time. And this person, I'm not going to share their name because obvious reasons. But I remember I said something to them, and I was like, "Oh, how you guys doing?" or whatever, and and then I jumped over to the other group of friends because we were sat at different tables, and I sat down on one of the coolers that we had full of drinks, like sodas and stuff, and I was just talking to them for a bit, and when I look over, this guy is like passed out and like slurring his words, and he was like slumping over and stuff, and I was like, oh my gosh, is this guy good? And everybody kind of like turns around once it started getting a little bit out of hand, and he fell out of his chair, and we thought he hit his head like on the side of this little I call it a gazebo, but it's like, I don't know what to call it. I call it a gazebo, right? It's like this metal frame. It's got a roof on it, and it's like we were sitting there so we wouldn't get beat down by the sun. But anyway, we thought he hit his head on one of the posts because it sounded really loud. Later on, we would find out that it was actually just his shoulder, but it freaked me out. And internally, I was like, fuck, this guy just concussed himself. And I started panicking internally, but I didn't want to kind of show that because, it's my house. And I was like, fuck, dude, if I'm like going to start panicking now, everybody else is going to start panicking. All right, so I started panicking really, really badly internally, and we like propped him up on the chair, and we were like checking up on him. We're like, oh my gosh, is he okay? Like, what's going on? And then they tell me what happened. He like downed what was left in this bottle of like vodka or something or whatever he was drinking, and it was like, I want to say like a little bit more than a quarter, but less than half of the bottle. He just downed it in one go, and he was already drinking before that. Like, he was drinking some of the other drinks that we had, and I was like, oh my gosh, who let him do this? And then a bunch of people were like, oh, it was like, it was this guy, and they're like pointing at my other friend, and like he was like egging him on and like pushing him to do it and stuff, and like, it was like, it's his fault, blah blah blah. And I feel bad because like I didn't understand the situation entirely, so I was just like dude, like, if like I've never seen him drink, but you have, so like why did you let him do this? And he's like, oh, like, it was his choice, and like he did it. And I'm like, well, I guess you're right, like, but like we gotta be more careful, and like try to limit each other. But everybody was just kind of trashing on my friend, and saying that it was his fault and stuff. And then, like, as the day went on, I was like, well, it was kind of like, my other friend's fault, because like he was the one that decided to drink it and go along with it. So like, that was his choice to get, like, shit faced drunk. But um we were just all really worried because he like went, like, what do you call it, nonverbal, and he just wouldn't talk to us, and he would just kind of mumble and like slur his words, and like he basically passed out. And we propped him up on three chairs. We laid him down, and we had like some cushions there. And at some point, one of my friends, that has, like, some training with like EMT or medical and stuff, he like is checking him. He's like checking his pulse, and like he pulls out his phone, puts it up to his like mouth, and makes sure that he's breathing to see if he could see like some, if it would like fog up the glass and stuff. And he's like, he's breathing, just make sure to put him on his side. And he told us which side to put him on to. Make sure that his like face is facing outward, just in case he had to throw up. And we had this bucket, um which I honestly still have not thrown away. It's sitting there, and I'm not gonna wash it. I'm just gonna throw it out. But he was like throwing up just constantly, and I mean constantly. Like, he would wake up and he'd be like, and we're like, what's wrong? And then he'd just start like, gagging, and we're like, go get the bucket, go get the bucket. And we'd get the bucket and just place it there and hold his head and like hold his hair back, because he has like pretty long hair. And he would just like puke into the bucket and then go back to sleep, take another nap. And I was like, dude, he must be miserable. And he was like saying like, put me out of my misery, and like, stuff like that while he was drunk. And we are like, dang, this is like really bad. And like we kind of like forgot about it kind of a little bit, and we just like started talking again. And then like every like 10 minutes or so, we're like, hey, is he still breathing? And then we're like, oh, go check on him. And we check on him, and he's like, yeah, he's still breathing. And like, sometimes he would get up and try to sit up, but he'd just slump over on the table, still be sleeping. And like, he was like just drooling all over the place and stuff. And we're like, dang, this guy's really messed up. But we tried our best. We're like, oh, he needs like, he's been throwing up so much, he's like probably gonna be super dehydrated and stuff, but at least he's getting it out of his system. And we were like, you know what, we probably need to give him water or something. So then they were like, oh, go get him like a fucking like a Pedialyte or something, like, electrolytes. He's gonna be dehydrated as hell when he wakes up or whatever. And so we got these little like what would you call those? Like these little like electrolyte packets, and we like mixed it in water, and we're like like basically like, hand feeding it to him or whatever. And he would like gulp down a little bit, and then like go back to bed, and then like, throw up, and then we'd like give him a little bit more. And like we were just like, dang, who's gonna take him home? And like, does he have his keys? And like at some point he was like awake enough to understand what we were saying, and we're like, hey dude, do you have house keys? Like, is it okay, like, like, or how are your parents gonna react? Are they gonna be awake to open the door, and like we're gonna have to take you home, like, and we were all kind of stressing a little bit, because we realized like none of us have really met his parents. And if we just show up and kind of drop him off and be like, hey, yeah, here's your son, he's like shit faced drunk, and like, we got him super fucked up, but like, he's here now and he's your responsibility, here you go, and we just drop him off like total strangers, it's gonna be kind of fucked up. So we're like, who's met his parents? And like we're like, oh, like nobody's really met his parents. And then we're like, you got keys, dude? Yeah, I got keys. And we're like, fuck, dude. I was like, fuck it, I'm gonna go and drop him off later once he like, gets a little bit better. And then like it doesn't matter what his parents think of me. I was like, it like, I just want him to be okay. I was like, he needs to sleep in his bed and like relax or whatever. And it didn't get that bad. Everybody started leaving, I want to say like around maybe 10-ish. Some people stayed a little bit later, because I get that they have stuff going on. Some of us work, others have other commitments and stuff. And so when everybody started leaving, I was like thinking like, damn, I might just have to watch this guy the rest of the day. And I had work the next day, but like as I said, I work at night. That's right when I had changed my schedule, because I used to work 3 a.m. to 7 a.m. and now I work from like 7 p.m. to 11 p.m. Sometimes an hour more or whatever. But I was like, fuck it, dude. If I have to, I'll stay up all night and I'll watch him, make sure he doesn't like, like throw up and like, fucking suffocate or whatever, drown in his own vomit. Cause I have heard cases of that happening from other like friends and family. Like I think my parents shared like a story of somebody that they knew, and like it was like a couple, and the wife or whatever was super angry that the guy had gotten drunk, and like she was like go sleep on the couch, or like maybe she slept on the couch. I can't remember exactly, but they slept like in separate rooms. And then when they came to check up on him, he had like vomited in his sleep, and it kind of like he asphyxiated on it or whatever. So I was like, I'll pull an all nighter, whatever. And I had just started my job, so I didn't have any hours saved up. And like I could say that it's an emergency, but like I don't know. I don't like to do that, right? But I was like, I'll pull an all nighter. I'll sleep like 2 hours or whatever, 3 hours in the middle of the day, get up and like do like the cleanup, because we had to clean up after the little party thing or whatever, and then get ready and go to work. I was like, whatever, like I'll do that for him, because he like y'all would probably do this for me if I got like that. um it didn't get that bad, and it was scary, but like I still had a fun time. And I think most of that, like when I look back at it now, I'm like, oh dude, that it was really messed up, like and a lot of us were just like, dude, we don't know what to do, like cuz like I don't know, but like I feel like we're still pretty young and we don't have too much experience with people getting like super shit faced blackout drunk. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there's a couple of us that have dealt with that, but like I think it's probably not that common, And towards the end of the night, once everybody had left, it was just me and like two other friends and my brother watching this guy, and we're like, dude, what do we do? And we're just kind of talking about it and like trying to get all the details, and we started putting stuff together and being like, when did this happen? Like what exactly happened? And then like we're trying to piece stories together. And my youngest brother, he's turning 13 soon. He had said some stuff too, and he talked to one of my friends, and my friend let me know, and he was like, yeah, like he walked out and he was like, what's wrong with him? And then we're like, oh yeah, like he got really drunk and blah blah blah. And like my little brother was like oh okay, and then just left as if nothing was going on. But like we're getting like stories from everybody, and they were mentioning stuff that other people said, and like we were like, oh damn, like what are we gonna do? And we're like debating what to do, whether or not to take him home, leave him here, if somebody else was gonna stay here to help me watch him, or like whose car do we take to go drop him off, who's gonna hold the bucket if he has to throw up in like while we're getting to his house. And his house is maybe like 2-3 minutes away by car. It's like not that far, a couple blocks away. And we were like, yeah, it's doable, we could take them, but like, are they gonna answer the door? Are they gonna like because it was getting close to like probably midnight, because I remember I went to sleep maybe like at 3 or 4 in the morning. um and we were just like, dang, like what do we do? And out of nowhere, and it still surprises me like to this day, he like just wakes up and like his eyes just lit up, because before they were just like dead. He was just staring off into space. Like you looked into his eyes and there was like no life. He was just out of it, right? But out of nowhere, he like lights up, and he's like, "You guys have water?" And we like give him water, and we're like, "Drink this, dude." And he's like sips it a little bit, and he's like, "Oh, dude." And he was like, "What happened?" And we're like, "You really don't remember like anything?" And he was like, "I remember bits and parts of it and stuff." And like we started talking, and he was like mentioning like, like I remember like, y'all being like, "Oh my gosh, what's going on? Like check his head, check his head." But like he doesn't remember like actually falling. And like, he's like, I don't think I hit my head." He's like, "I feel fine." And he's like, "My shoulder hurts though." And I was like, he probably hit his shoulder then. So like we realized that he hit his shoulder on the ground, and like on the post of like the gazebo thing. It wasn't really his head. It's just like, the way that he fell, his neck like flung backwards when he hit the ground. So we're like, "Oh man, he hit his head." But he started like talking to us and letting us know like uh everything that he remembered. And then we had to like explain everything else to him and be like, "Dude, like this and this happened, and you don't remember doing this?" And like at some point he was like, "Oh man, did I really say those things?" Because he would like come to all of a sudden, like in quick little bursts, and he's like, "I fucking love you guys." And he's like, "Oh man, dude, I feel bad, but like I love you guys." And like it just go back to like being basically half dead. And he does not remember that, and he's like, "Oh gosh, dude, I hope I didn't say some stuff." And then like one of my other friends was like, "Dude, you were saying some deep shit, like stuff that like I'm like, oh, damn, should we like maybe like keep him from saying some of the stuff?" And I didn't hear any of that stuff really, because I was like, busy making sure that everybody was comfortable and stuff, because this was happening at my house. But like, everything freaked me out, and I was scared because I was like, "Dude, like this could be like something where like he could actually die if we're not careful, and like, if we don't monitor him, because he could get like really bad alcohol poisoning." But it didn't get to that point, and I'm glad it didn't, because I could not imagine having to take him to the hospital and being like, sitting there waiting to see what happens. Because I worry a lot about my friends and stuff. And like, when he woke up, he started like spilling the beans and like telling us some stuff that's going on in his life. And like we had this like conversation. It got super deep. It was mostly us listening to him like, talk about his issues and stuff. And like, I saw a side of this guy that I've never really saw. I always saw him as like the guy that like kind of just jokes around a lot, and like, doesn't really care much about what is going on in life. And then like when he like started revealing this like deep shit, I was like, "Dang, dude, like there's so much stuff that I don't really know about this guy." And like, we started like seeing another side of him that I never knew existed. And I feel like I learned a lot about him, and it explains some of the stuff that has happened, like, in the past, and like stuff that I've heard from other people. It explains a lot of that. And I was just like, "Dang, this is messed up," like, and he was like, "Thank you guys for like, keeping an eye on me." He's like, "I'm sorry if you like, I put you guys through all that." He was like, I don't know, he felt like bad, but like he was just thankful that we invited him, and the like, we kept an eye on him, and he was just thankful that like, we didn't just toss him off to the side and kind of forgot about him, that like we kept an eye on him. So like, I thought it was scary, but a good learning experience. And I feel like we really bonded in a good way. Like, I feel like that friend specifically in the past, like it was one of those things where we were like more so well, not more so, but like we were sort of like friends by association. I've known him for a long time, since I was like in elementary school, but we never really got to hang out too much because we would always get put in different classes, like and then he hangs out with one of my close childhood friends. And the only reason why I really hang out with that close childhood friend is because his parents know my parents. So, like, it's one of those things where my parents are like, oh, like, you want to go hang out with your friends? Like, do I know their parents? I'm like, yes, you do. Like, I'm going with so and so. So it's the one person that I could hang out with in my childhood. And I couldn't really hang out with this other person, the guy that got, like, really wasted because my parents didn't know his parents and, like, all that. But it felt like we were friends by association because we had that one friend in common. And there were times where we would sit in a room together, and if that other guy wasn't with us, it was very awkward. But I feel like now that we're adults, we kind of, like, we're a little bit more open to talking and stuff. And recently, just the other day, we were playing VR chat together, and, like, there's still those moments of awkwardness, but it just feels good to be able to talk to this person and, like, communicate in a healthy way. And like, he cracks jokes, I try to crack jokes. Sometimes they don't land, like, or we don't understand it, but like we like, at least me, I don't know about him, but I still enjoy his company a lot. And I don't know if he realized that before all of this happened, but like I made sure to, or at least I tried to make sure that he understood that, like, he's like always welcome here. And that I really appreciate his company. And it's like I I think I have issues with, like, really showing people how much I care about them and, like, the appreciation that I have for them being around, cuz it's not easy to make friends. And I've always thought that we were like, all of my friends were like kind of this weird friend group because we don't really like fit the mold, so to speak. And some of us are like really odd, but we just complement each other in like weird ways. But it was an eye-opening experience. And like, this is gonna sound like strange, but like this person was like, dude, like, thank you. And like, I'm glad that, like, you guys were looking out for me. He was like, thank your parents when you see them next time. And I did thank them. I was like, hey, so and so said thank you for, like, being worried about him and stuff. Like, it just shows that it shows that, like, you guys really care about him and that we care about him. um and like, I feel like a lot of us need something like that, be shown that people appreciate us being there, because sometimes we're just there and we don't really, like, get shown any appreciation. We kind of just think like, why am I here, like, are they just, do they just have me around just because? And I get that sort of feeling sometimes where I'm hanging out with like a group of friends and I'm like, do these people really like me, or do they just have me around be like just because, like, just because they don't want me to be alone, or they feel bad for me or something like that. So I'm not saying that this is something that this person feels, because I don't know what they feel, but this person, like, they were appreciative of, like, us looking out for him. And I felt a little strange because I feel like he's a lot more closer to some of the other friends in our group, because I feel like I hadn't really hung out with them a lot because of school, and I pushed them away a little bit, trying to focus on my studies and stuff. But he was like, dude, give me a hug, and I gave him a hug, and I was like, hey, dude, like, whenever you need something, dude, or like, whenever we're like fucked up like this or whatever, and like, I was like, you could count on me or whatever. And I don't know if this person is open to it, but if they want, to come on the podcast and like share some stuff, it doesn't have to be about what happened that day, 4th of July, because I know that's kind of like, a little personal, especially with some of the stuff they were sharing. That's why I'm not sharing names or what this person shared. I'm trying to keep it very, like, limited. Only our direct friend group will know what happened, and a lot of you people listening out there in the rest of the world don't exactly know who this person is, and I'd rather keep it that way unless he wants to make this public and stuff. But I just wanted to put it out there because I feel like after that we bonded a little bit more, and like, we still have those awkward strange moments, but like, the other day we were playing VR chat and we didn't need that other person to kind of moderate. We're like trying to, or at least I'm trying to break through that barrier a little bit and make it so that we're comfortable around each other without having other people kind of moderate us and stuff. And I feel like that's important. Like, there's a lot of friend groups where it's like, oh, I'll only go if so and so is going. And I don't want to have it be like that. Like, yeah, it's cool if the other person is gonna come hang out with us too, but like if they can't make it, that shouldn't be a reason for us to not hang out. Like, there, like, we can still get along and like do stuff and like try to see what we have in common. Um, and I felt like after that day, uh, I just know a little bit more about him, and that makes me more comfortable uh to be around him because I understand more of what he's going through. I don't completely understand it and I never will, because I'm not him, but it gives me a better idea of what he's going through, and like, it makes me see uh that he's human too, and I think we forget that sometimes, especially like me. I'll just be like, yeah, they're my friends, and like, and then I forget that they have lives outside of our friendship, and like, they're going through shit too. So it was really interesting to gain that knowledge and like have that experience, and I don't know if it made us closer. I feel like it did. I don't know if he thinks that it made us closer, but you know it, despite everything and like the big scare that we got, it was fun. We had a pretty deep conversation, and it was like midnight. So it was like, it was just like, I almost teared up a little bit, but it was eye opening, and it was fun to learn about these people, like, learn about him, and understand his situation more. But like I said, if he's open to being on the podcast, doors open. He could be on here if he wants as soon as I finish upgrading the setup. Doors also open to any of the other people that were there that day, so that we can share about other topics. It doesn't have to be about that day. I feel like that's a little bit more uh, of a private matter, but we can talk about, our common interests or something, or we could come up with some topic together to talk about. And, you know, I feel like it'd be another great bonding experience because I've had these sort of deep conversations with other friends, and I feel like that's something that if he was open to that, we'd be able to bond a little bit more and understand each other a little bit more, the ways that we think and everything. Or just, sit around and like reminisce on stuff, or like talk, like, jokes and stuff, tell jokes and stuff. That would also be fun. So doors open. I don't know if you're going to be listening to this podcast or not. Thank you for coming over that day. To everybody else that was there that day, it really helped. uh I've been in a little bit of like, a weird spot lately, and I don't really know where I fit in. So that really helped, and it kind of eased that sort of frustration and stress a little bit. And I really appreciate everybody that was there. Um Sometimes I feel like I don't have any friends, and that's just like a me problem. I have issues, like, seeing kind of like my self-worth and all that, and like seeing and understanding why people want to have me around. So sometimes I feel like my friends are like just bringing me along cuz they feel bad for me. And when you guys show up to my house and like we hang out like this, especially when I have these kind of like stupid ideas of like doing like a, like, oh, let's hang out and let's like have food and stuff, and it's like 104 degrees outside. I know that it was like pretty stupid to be out and then like, it being that hot, but you guys being there for me just kind of like, it like shows me that you guys care about me, even if it's just a little bit, you guys are okay with, like, hanging out with me and having me around. And, I appreciate that a lot. And that's all I wanted to share about the 4th of July. After that day, it was just kind of me and my brother, the middle child, on our own for 2 weeks. And I'll probably do another episode on that as soon as I get the chance to. I'm still trying to upgrade the setup, and we're waiting on that. But that's a whole other story. We did some fun stuff, and I had some people over, and we had more fun, and, like, we'll show it we'll share some of that later on. But for now, I just want to thank everybody because we are really close to 100 listens, 100 streams on Spotify. We're at 90 something right now, and we're getting up there, Uh, and I've been doing this since, I think, last December, if I'm not mistaken. So, we're halfway, a little bit more than halfway into the year, and I plan on, continuing this. And as soon as I get my setup upgraded, we'll see it possibly doing more episodes per month, because I do have a good amount of free time. I'm getting more adapted to my schedule. So, with that, I want to thank you all for listening, and I will see you in the next episode.